You're listening to Studio 57 Radio, your home for underground hip-hop, rap, and R&B. Studio 57 Radio.
Alright, Rebels, welcome back to the chaos. It is Snowmageddon, Snowpocalypse now, whatever you want to call it. We are getting buried here in Detroit. And so, though I am not, although I'm by myself, I'm never alone. I've got Johnny the Moose all up on the phone. So before I get him in here with his intro and he does his thing, let's get it, baby. Holy crap, Rebels. Oh, man. What happened? There's so much going on, I don't even know what to do. I'm having a sensory overload. On the field, off the field, coaching. Holy crap. We were going to talk football, I thought, but woke up this morning and that all effing changed. So, on 2/2/22, let's get into DSR2. Without further ado, let's do the do that we do at DSR2. I am Scrappy. And here is Johnny the Moose.
Hey, we're back here for another edition of DSR2 on this Joey Armageddon Day here. We're for 6 weeks. Well, didn't see Seattle. We still got 6 more weeks to win. Why? This February. Here's lots to talk about as we get into it. We got all sorts of news going on. We'll get into that. Brian Flores has filed a lawsuit. Tom Brady retired. On there, we'll get to that. We got as well, and the coach looks like he is not taking it and to his alma mater. We'll get it all back.
Yes, and
so we wake up this morning. Brian Flores has filed a big salvo across the box by filing a lawsuit against the NFL, basically
Yeah.
that the
Yeah, Moose, we're losing you. You're jumping. You're breaking up in and out, in and out, in and out. Let me lead this a little bit for you and let you kind of come in. I'm not sure what's happening here. Let me play with this the signal here or whatever. We have a little connection here. Yes, if you guys and I'll get you back in here in a second, Moose. The big story, of course, is obviously the Brian Flores thing. The coaching carousel has been crazy, but the Brian Flores thing is where we're going to go. Tons of on the field stuff. Like you said, Moose, we talked about this before, and we'll get into it a little bit deeper as we roll. But the Michigan, the whole Harbaugh going somewhere, leaving Michigan thing, this doesn't surprise us. Like, everybody's like, oh, he's gone. He's definitely gone. He didn't go there if he's not getting the job. He's gone. We've been pretty consistent on what we expect from Harbaugh and what we kind of know how he is. So he's staying put as of now. Now, that just came in recently, right, Moose?
Yeah, that was at 7:35 this evening.
So he went to Minnesota, and that's a wrap. So now, before we get into the Flores stuff and all the other coaching carousel, do you think there's really any other options? There's just no other interview out there for him, is there?
No, I think it's all said and done on there, unless somehow Miami jumps on there. I mean, Stephen Ross is an old Michigan alumnus and booster.
Sure.
Hell, they named him with it. But I don't think he's going to try to pull because he seems to love Michigan more than his own baseball teams.
Sure. Well, and it's one of those things too, Moose, where, like I said, yeah, there's very few things to the table for him, options on the table for him, maybe Miami. But it's like not with all that heat now. And then that team might get sold. We'll get into that whole conversation and debate here shortly. Because it's going to be we're going to run down a rabbit hole here, Moose, in a second. But I just wanted to cover the Harbaugh stuff real quick because of our take on it. And I have gotten heat in the email about, your boy Harbaugh is gone now, and da-da-da-da. Yeah, I got something for you. And so far, we've been pretty accurate and consistent with that reporting. And it's not just us. Some of it's, we don't know. But, I mean, we're in the backyard. We know enough. And I don't think he's going anywhere. I think it's more of a puffing of the feathers because of the wage garnishment, for lack of a better term. And he just wants his money, and he wants to flex his muscles and puff his tail feathers a little bit. And in the end, he's not going to leave Michigan in the lurch like that by waiting so long in the college season to where they'd be kind of behind the eight ball trying to replace him. So I think if he did something, there would have been a behind the scenes setup for a successor, and he wouldn't have left his alma mater in the lurch. So I think this was just like you said, like a shots fired kind of thing. Hey, this is a warning shot here. If you guys don't take care of me, I could walk at any time. And I think that's all that ever was from a Harbaugh standpoint.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I think Ford may have low ball the offer. Obviously, that's going to make everything a little well. That he didn't any opportunity for the job, and he just says, thanks a lot, appreciate it, and go from there.
Right.
All
right, let's get into this Brian Flores thing. There's a lot of different angles to get into it, man. It's pretty obvious. I'm going to try to be analytical and as kind of legal about it, but I know I'm going to get heated because this thing really bothers me that in 2022 that we're having this kind of conversation. But we've talked about it before, Moose. The NFL is definitely a boys club, and they, it's, if you're not one of the good old boys, it's hard to be an owner. It's hard to be an executive. It's hard to do anything, other than maybe play, if you're good enough. So
yeah,
we've kind of been pretty staunch about that. We talked about it when it came to the whole Kaepernick situation. The league ultimately settled with Kaepernick in their lawsuit. Now Flores has got his lawsuit going. Career suicide, really, when it comes to the NFL, and I mean, probably even college, to be honest with you. But I'm glad that he's standing up for something that he believes in. I think with a guy that would do something like this and has a lot of specifics that he uses in his conversations, a lot of consistencies. I notice I said consistencies. I think that, I tend to believe this guy and what he's saying. And this is pretty damning. The NFL is going to have to react to this at some point. I know they're going to want to try to brush this under the rug, but Moose, is there any way they could just that even happen? Can they slip this under the rug? I know that's what they want to do, but can they do that? I mean, we talked about it before, and I'll give you a second to answer, Moose. I think that our connection works better that way. If you back in the day, we got the Rooney Rule because Johnny Cochran got involved in a case, and it took legal precedent to kind of flex the NFL to even do the Rooney Rule, which we know is a sham, and Flores seems to have enough evidence to prove that it is. If that turns out to be the case, like, can they sweep this under the rug, Moose? How can they do that?
I would say in past years, yes, it is. But again, the difference between even now and Kaepernick is just a couple of years on there. But I think the whole advent of social media has exploded. It's under the rug right now.
Yeah,
I think political climate and social climate, it's no way.
Yeah, I tend to agree, Moose. Like, with the fact that people can just reach each other so easily, and that everybody sees everything so much, and everybody's kind of got a voice. I don't know how you get by that public opinion situation. Remember, in the NBA, Sterling lost his team. He lost the Clippers because it got caught on audio. Like, if you've got empirical evidence beyond just like somebody's like phone recording in their pocket or something, I just feel like that this falls in that same kind of area where you could say, hey, between this and I don't know, man, like, you Miami fires this guy. It's ugly. It's ugly. They're paying him to lose games. Is that the deal? Like that dude's bribing him $100,000 for every loss. When you're in bed with gambling, and all these sports books, let's be real. The NFL uses DraftKings and all these other cats as sponsors, and they're in bed with these dudes. I mean, you guys have seen it on TV. Let's be real. Like, how does that not become an issue for that team?
Oh, it comes up with a huge issue now that they've legalized sports gambling on nationwide, and again, the league is in bed with the casino to do this. So yeah, it basically fixes everything. But then you're paying your a coach a bonus to lose games. It just basically you can't do that. The integrity of really the game in it, and again, it'll franchise. Because they think, well, this is BS.
Right. Well, and that's part of it too. I mean, it becomes an issue for the whole league, right? Because you've got a profit sharing situation, and you've got a PR situation there, and I just don't see. I don't know. I don't see how you just sweep it up under the rug, but. It's one of those things that I think that's what they're going to try to do. It's how far does Flores want to take it? What are his resource abilities? Like, what the NFL, of course, is a bottomless pit. So they print money. So I think it's going to be a battle. But if he's got the right cats, involved, as far as I understand, he's got like some top-notch attorneys, like some very prominent attorneys that are going to like turn heads once we find out what's going on. So if that's the case and what he's saying and whatever, then maybe he's got a shot here. Ultimately, Kaepernick got his money, but there's got to be some change. I don't think it's going to be a matter of settling a lawsuit and walking away. I mean, I think it's got to. But we didn't see it last time. So with just a couple of years ago, do we see effective change with this, or do you feel where I am? I'm pretty cynical that we'll just kind of. There'll be some superficial like optic stuff, but beyond that, it'll just be, we'll slip back into status quo.
I think it's going to be, unfortunately, it's the same status quo until you actually get at least one or a couple African Americans in the NFL, because they don't have any. Here's a league that percent the players, and yet when it was all said and done, there was only one African American coach left after them that played his fire.
How about
Jacksonville hire Brian Leftwich, and then we'll get some more African American coaches. But I do believe it.
Yeah, but
and again, I do.
But Moose, like Bieniemy was probably one of the top candidates, regardless of ethnicity, and he didn't get a spot.
No, but I think Bieniemy is the heir apparent to take over Reed at Kansas City, and he's got a couple years.
He's going to ride it out because it's going to be a while. You don't think Andy Reid's going to hang in for a little while? I mean, that's like a Josh McDaniels kind of thing, and look where he landed. Like, do you wait that long?
I think what Andy is, I think he might be getting, like, I'm going to press on it, because again, Andy's no young spring. I mean, he's in his mid 60s.
Right.
He's had some. He's not.
To me, that goes to my argument, though, Moose. At that age, he's got to pull the trigger now if he's going to do it. And so why isn't it happening? Why isn't nobody? For me, what I would like to see with all this stuff going on, let's take all this evidence. I know he's not point shaving, but he's essentially fixing games and paying his coach to do so. And even despite that, he won, which just kills me. Let's just pull that team out, tell him he's got to sell it, and let's get a minority owner in this league. Let's get a minority owner.
You might have that happen I think if this goes to trial in that, because there are sources that said, yes, they witnessed the conversation with Brian Flores stating, hey, a bonus to do so.
Yikes.
Hugh Jackson, he had it happen when he was in Cleveland. Granted, he only won 3 games career there at Cleveland in the couple.
Well, he must have made some money then. Well, he must have made some money. Yeah, he was.
Because get through the game.
He must have had like a safety deposit box stuffed with cash and like a trunk somewhere full of money. That dude there, Jesus. But I mean, see, that's not a good look for the league. Like I said, it goes back to the sports book, and they're in bed with all these sports books. And even if you're trying to keep any even hint of integrity either way, whether it be from a competitive standpoint for the fan base or whether it be for the sports book and the gamblers and all that, like where does it end? I mean, I know you can't I doubt you'll ever get a class action lawsuit against gamblers, but the sports books could do it. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
there's the money on there, they make out with it. I mean, it's got here's a quote from Brian Flores stating, as God has gifted me with a special talent to coach the game of football, but the need for change is bigger than my personal goals. In making the file of this class action lawsuit complaint today, I understand maybe risking the coaching the game I love, and it has done so much for my family and me. My sincere hope is that the systematic racism in the NFL, others will the generations to come. So, being that it's a class action, who have gotten fired and never rehired as a second gig, because you've got all these retreads. If they're partially, if they're white, we can over again.
Well, Well, does it not have to be classified first as a class action? Right now, they're just in that process, right? Like that's the idea.
The initial complaint was a class action complaint.
Okay.
So when they do go to the actual full the lawsuit, it will be considered a class action. So other coaches will be able to judge. Now again, if they get like or Lovey Smith or several other Americans say, hey, I can, and I can never get another coaching job.
Well, like
there.
Right, and Lovey Smith, to me, like you brought up Lovey Smith in that, he's a great candidate for that, right? We talk about him all the time when we make our argument about how jacked up the league is that you can't go 10-6 and take that horrible team to the Super Bowl. We were just talking about this last week, weren't we, Moose? Or 2 weeks ago, maybe. And you can't do and then not end up on a team in the league again. I don't understand. And he just shut his mouth just so he could get a coaching job in the college ranks. This is, to me, it just seems so blatant and obvious, and it's the most sad, pathetic thing that I think I've ever seen when it comes to race relations being played out in a public forum such as a sporting or athletic venture.
Because there's only 2 African American coaches I know that basically had a coaching job, got fired, and got a coaching job.
Right.
He got fired from the Buccaneers, in the Colts.
Right.
Dennis Green, when he got fired in Minnesota, went to Arizona.
Right. That's it.
Yeah. Our constant retreads over, and I'm like, Jesus, you really got this right. Again, there's got he's out with the whole thing with with the it's like you're the I mean, there's going to be a perfect example. I think he's going to jump in because of the there.
I'm sorry, you broke up. Who was that? Was a perfect example? I'm sorry, we lost you there. Who was it?
The former coach who just got fired.
Who's coach?
The Houston Texans.
Oh yes. Well, see, now you can. That's the whole thing. The more people that jump in on this, the better. But the problem is, there's not a whole lot of options out there to begin with. So we'll see how this kind of plays out. But it's going to take a whole kind of movement for this to happen. And the way it's played out thus far, and the way they've kind of done things, the league's done stuff before, I'm once again, I'm super skeptical. But we talked about it. We was like, how many cats are they bringing that don't deserve these jobs at all? Like, never had a Joe Judge is another one of those guys. Like, how does he get a job? I can think of probably, a half a dozen off the top of my head African-American coaches that are better than that dude, more qualified at least.
Oh, yeah. Joe Judge has never gotten a head coaching job on there, to be honest.
And all those stand out to me. They all stand out to me. The more of those, and we see a ton of them. I mean, Josh McDaniels was in over his head. He probably will be again this time through. Hopefully not. But like, we've seen it over and over and over again. And like, I don't know how that's not evidence, but I mean, I don't know what is evidence, I guess. I don't know how you judge intent on that. That's where I think it becomes murky. That's where it gets a little bit tougher from like a legal standpoint. But I think when you start combining all these other things that could get like the the U.S. like the United States federal government involved, when you start talking about paying teams to lose and doing all that kind of stuff, if you've got that kind of evidence to go along with it, then I think now you start affecting change a little bit, at least, just because you have like actual criminal grounds, right? Like at some point, if you're fixing games when you've in bed with a sports book and you got all these other things going on, like you can't, I don't know, there's got to be red flags there, and they could come sniffing, and the NFL doesn't want none of that. We already know they've been hiding stuff with the whole email gimmick and all the racist stuff and the sexist stuff in Washington, which is now the Commanders and dumb as hell. Moose, like, this is all coming unglued if this lawsuit becomes very pro-B, right?
Yes. You're up on this lawsuit, and you'll see under growing games and so forth with it. You may get things were more stable time-wise in it. You would actually might see as Congress go. They pulled
yeah, I mean, if Congress gets involved, then you're talking about an ugly, muddy mess, and I don't think the NFL wants any part of that, Moose. I think if this thing starts getting proby and things start coming out, I think the NFL just kind of bends over and figures this out. But once again, they'll do what they did with the Rooney Rule, right? We got the Rooney Rule, and they just play it like a fiddle, man. They just play it like a game. And so,
yeah.
I don't know how you do, and this goes back to what I asked you earlier, and you were in lockstep with what I'm saying. And guys, you can let me know in the text, if I can even get the text, or on the social media, the comments, the text line, we'll get that up too, whatever. But if let me see here. Okay, there we go. But how they'll just work around the Rudy Rule's a joke. They'll just work around. How do you enforce this thing is going to be the issue, and how do you prove that they're not doing anything? Like right now, you put in a rule in place, and you say you got to satisfy the rule, and they're like, "Well, we're just doing whatever it takes to satisfy the rule." So they're just they're going to do the same shit. Like, what else can you do?
Right, because right now they're doing the. I mean, part of the lawsuit was still the NFL, Giants, and the was with the Broncos job prior to him getting the Miami job, and prior to Fangio. Obviously, he says his Elway actually showed up late to the meeting.
Yeah, it was hammered. Yeah, it was hammered. They were out partying. Looked like he was hungover. Been out doing a thing. Didn't take it seriously. When you get sham interviews or whatever, or you feel you have a sham interview, I think that was pretty much the final thing for him. That was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. You can't. And I mean, think about this guy. What he went through. If all this stuff is true. It takes me, the struggle is real. Getting a head coaching job to begin with is tough. Gets a place, gets in there, starts win. Might win a game here or there. His owner's like, "Hey man, don't do that. I'll pay you not to." Well, wait a minute. You brought me in because you thought I would lose, and now you're going to pay me to lose, and I'm winning anyway because I'm not taking that money, and now you're going to run me out because of it. And then I can't get a job anywhere. This is the experience that I'm having trying to be a head coach. I don't know, man. I get why he did it. And, and for someone to give you a sham interview after that, do all that and then get a sham interview where they show up like that, I would have lost my mind. I lost my mind. He could have easily went on social media and just went murderer's row on fools, but he's going to affect change. Hopefully, I mean that takes a set of nuts to do. So I hope it works out. I hope they do affect change here. But my question is once again, it comes back to enforcing whatever they kind of put in place. I think the NFL is gonna succumb to something at some point if this is true. What evidence do you see, Moose, that you need to see? Do you need to see a paper trail for this money? Do you need to see? I mean, we already kind of stated we tend to believe what he's saying. What's empirical evidence for you?
I think for essentially public opinion on it, I mean, they're going to have some sort of trail or witnesses to say, yes, we were there when Donald Ross or Stephen Ross said this.
So, like you're talking about like other staff, somebody in within would have to be there.
Yes. Assistant general manager, or somebody down there, or the vice president, who says they have to go on the record and they basically need to testify under oath. They did what they said. Plus side is the will be voted and passed away to family because due to the fact of the death, basically the estate tax. I mean, it's going to kill the value of the franchise, and so they're going to sell the team. Hopefully, they can get some sort of maybe that's made predominantly African American, billionaires. Hopefully, and they can buy the team.
Well. Right, and to fill in the gaps, because, breaking up a little bit, I don't know how your signal is where you're at. We look pretty good here. I want to make sure you got a good signal, Moose, but so make sure you're looking pretty good. Okay, good. That's what I would like to see. I think if all this stuff comes out, I think the best way to fix it for them is to cut the cancer out, pick a scapegoat. That's kind of what they do, right? They're going to pick a scapegoat, and it's going to have to be Miami, which is going to, probably piss off ownership there because of everything that happened in Washington. They didn't pull their team. But you can go ahead and make that argument that someone was worse than you and try to make that as an argument for why you shouldn't be punished for what you did, and it never pans out. Ask your parents. It's you can go that route, but I don't think it'll work. It definitely won't work in the court of public opinion. So I think, they will make a move. They will make them a scapegoat. Hopefully, if all this comes out, that team gets sold, like you said, Moose, to a group. It's usually a group. It's very rarely an individual. We have a few obvious exceptions to that, but in a lot of cases it's group or it's a family or like a rich family type scenario. And I want an African American ownership in here. Like, what is the problem with that?
Yeah.
And I think there are possibilities out there. You don't think that there's African American millionaires? You don't think Jay-Z could get in with somebody, some corporate entity that he already works with that's African American based, and they couldn't get with somebody else, and and they couldn't come in and just be all black ownership? Why not? Like, to me, that's what you do. You look for like major financial moguls that are doing businesses other than maybe what you think they are, and you'd be surprised. Like you kind of laugh at the Jay-Z and African American potential buyers, but he's going to get with some other cats, and he might have somebody that would be great for that part of the business, and him and a few other guys can get together and buy this team. And this is the thing about the systematic racism here, is that sometimes it's inadvertent, right? When you hire, we talked about it before, Moose, you hire people that right? Like, if you know this guy and you have a relationship, you work that relationship, and so you hire guys and if the people that you surround yourself with and the people look like you, then that's who you tend to hire, right? So all these white ownerships, all these white GMs, all these white coaches are all bringing in white assistants, white head coaches, white GMs, and so on and so forth. And so you need to have that African-American representative where they will do the same, where they will use their connections and the people they know, and they will bring in the people they're comfortable with, and you will have that kind of representation here. Can we just start with a little representation where it's not even about like making it even, really? It's just like, you got anybody, anybody who, there is no black ownership.
No.
And how is that even real right in this day in 2022?
Yeah, it's ridiculous on this. And again, there's very few African American general managers. I mean, here locally in Detroit, we've got one with Brett Moses.
Right.
We got that with it, but as you said, scapegoat. I think the Broncos and the Dolphins are going to be a scapegoat on it. They're not going to go after because the Americans own the Giants in seven.
Right.
After them, they're too powerful of an ownership group. They're in New York.
Well, and that's why I agree with you. They're not going to go after New York, and I think that might be why they don't go after anybody else. I think why they would go after Miami, and this would be the unfortunate situation, is they'd be going for not the reasons that we want them to affect change. They would be going after Miami because of them throwing games and offering. It would have nothing to do with the fact that they're not. It would just be that would just be added in there, right? That would just be like all this stuff is coming out. How much stuff is going to come out if like the United States federal government gets involved with an investigation within the operations of all these NFL teams and throughout the league? Like that is a can of worms that they don't want to open. We already know that because of the emails with Gruden and the Washington situation.
Yeah, because that's why they kind of just brushed up investigation, because again, Gruden was the guy on it. They escaped. That's why he's because the NFL thing is all bullshit as well. Why am I? They're saying, well, again, there's other emails out there.
Absolutely.
Later, and that's why
without
escape.
Yep. Well, absolutely, and that's the whole thing. And like I said, when you repeat a behavior over and over, it's pretty obvious to see, right? Like we know what they're doing. It was transparent with the emails and how they scapegoated, Gruden. And we're not Gruden fans. We're noted Gruden kind of haters, if there's such a thing. He's just a goofball. He's just a meathead. I didn't mind him being the new John Madden on commentary or some dumb stuff because it was funny and goofy, but like we never thought anything of him as a head coach, and so we always kind of goofed on him. But you can't do they scapegoated this dude. Let's be real about it. They railroaded his ass, brushed everything up under the rug. So I think it's going to be the same thing here, man. It's one of those things where, like, yeah, you guys are all friends and everything's all good and you're all part of the club until you're the one that is, causing the trouble, until you're the one that's shaking the boat, until you're the one that's effing with their cash cow and the way they like to do business. And so then they will all jump on you. And so I think that if it becomes that ugly, that the NFL will do something. I just don't know what. And I would love to see them sell that team and really, prioritize finding, African American ownership. But I don't know. That's a fantasy world I think that I live in, Moose. I just think I don't think it's real. I don't think it's going to happen. And it's unfortunate because all that shit is getting exposed and played out. And if you don't see it and you didn't know it before and you turned a blind eye to it, or you didn't care because you just wanted to watch your football, it is what it is. Like, the only one I really can accept is you just wanted to watch your football, and I don't want to get into that. And that's unfortunate because we kind of need to get into it whether you want to or not, because nothing changes until someone is uncomfortable. You've never, ever willingly changed and done something that you didn't want to do just because, I don't know, for the hell of it. No, you did something you didn't want to do because you had no other choice. It was more uncomfortable not to do it. It's that simple. Just break it down in its simplest form. So we have to have uncomfortable conversations, and this is going to hopefully, it's not. It's going to be the same thing with the Kaepernick stuff. You're going to be talking to brick walls because either you get it or you don't. And you just can't make people get it. We've seen that with politics. We've seen it with religion. And for some reason, I don't think it's going to be anything different when it comes to race relations in this respect, because cats don't want to be told that they have a bias, even if they have a bias. And so people that aren't even involved in it will see themselves in the situation and get angry because, they feel like their biases are being exposed as well. And that's, sports is a microcosm of society for sure. And that is an unfortunate reality that people don't want to see.
Exactly. I mean, most of these owners are total scumbags.
Absolutely, yeah. Most of them are. Well, I got news for you, Moose. Most millionaires have a certain level of scumbaggery, on the top there somewhere, or they wouldn't be where they're at, Moose. You have to have a certain level of grime to lay with grimy people, and you have to be around grimy people to get that kind of bank account figures. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I mean, was obviously the Browns owner was Jimmy Haslam, who can't run the team. Owner, he got in trouble with this whole. He owns Flying J truck stop.
Oh, he owns the Flying J's, the ones that I see all around.
Yes.
Oh.
Jimmy Haslam.
I didn't know
CEO.
that. I didn't know that.
And the whole bull, the whole issue and incidents and the history with him owning the land and the whole thing where they settled a lawsuit with St. Louis. They said it was only just, and he wanted to have moved out way. And the owners in the NFL are for $850 million.
Wow.
Because they didn't want to go to trial.
Well, yeah.
Because they know.
Well, once again, the last thing they want to do is go to trial when it comes to this stuff. They start probing and stuff, man, and it's not going to be a good thing for the NFL. Not. It just isn't. And
No.
And I, from a legal standpoint, like I said, I feel like the class action lawsuit, of course, is where they got to go. They, of course, have to vet some people and get some witnesses in here and do some stuff. And I can't imagine that he doesn't have at least one or two people that would be willing to speak up. The only issue is just because they said they were willing to will they be willing to do it when their career is on the line, their livelihood's on the line, and they haven't made huge money because they're maybe a coordinator or just like an office bitch, And I wasn't being sexist. I just mean like a dude. It could be anybody. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know who stands up and has the guts and the nuts. We talked about it. You got to have a set of balls, and you got to be in for the long haul if you're going to do something like this, and you got to be ready to give up what you love to do and what you're kind of all about, really. When you think about what these head coaches devote, or any coach devotes to, or any athlete for that matter, devotes to a sport. I don't know who's going to come forward, right? Like, I know people say all that stuff, but then when it comes time, who comes up and steps up? Or do they just shut their mouth so they can stay in the league?
Again, that's a kicker too, and I think in the meantime is you're going to see them trying to face a little bit. They try to coaches so they can just basically try to poo-poo this and try to brush it. I mean, Orleans Saints is interviewing Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn, as coordinator with the Lions,
right?
And played a long career, was played in New Orleans, and he got defensive back coach. Who knows what's going to happen? He may be basically, we may lose him. Again, I hope he does it. Again, if he does get the job, I hope he succeeds because even if bright spots about guys way above themselves with it because they didn't have it, but
sure. Yep. So I don't know. Once again, I hope these guys get jobs. I'm with you. I think what'll ultimately happen is the league will kind of just find ways to say, hey, this is what we've done. We're making progress. Like, how, if you're going to say something like this, it's kind of like not the time to say it, because now look at all these guys we're bringing, and then they'll try to sweep it in under the rug. But the bottom line is, like you had mentioned before, you're talking about a 70% roughly average African American players within that league, driving that league, and then you've got like single digit percentages when it comes to executives and ownership. Well, it's zero when it comes to ownership. So it's just really a bad look. But once again, there's so many different angles that you can take this. I really think that if you do it all right together, then they'll be forced to do something. But ultimately, in the end, we'll just be playing this game of satisfying a rule, checking off a box, dotting an I, crossing a T, whatever you want to call it, in order to just get to where you want to go. These cats pick their coaches long before they're available. But when you start doing things like the league can go to Miami and say, okay, you tried to pay him to tamper, you tried to pay him to do throw games, we're going to yank this team from you. And they can do all this stuff, but then they just get another good old boy in there, and that's where it's got to change. So I don't feel that that's real. I feel like that's a fantasy land that I live in, and that would be awesome if it happened. I just don't feel that it's real. If they prove me wrong, dude, we are going to have the most epic party here on the air, because that's the kind of change that needs to happen, doesn't happen. And I would love to see people stand up. So in my dream world, Moose, they get a couple of people to kind of corroborate what Flores is saying. The feds come in and go, yeah, between quote unquote fixing games and doing all that stuff, and tamper, and the league's gonna say, between you, paying guys that, you tell them people to tamper with players and coaches. I mean, because think about that. They asked him to tamper with a quarterback just so it would cause a problem, and they were cool with it and cool with him doing it. But he's the one that looks like an idiot. He's the one that, that's got to deal with the reputation hit, and they don't care. They're using him like a bulletproof vest, on top of the fact that they were doing all this other stuff. It's just so ugly. If you can prove any of that stuff, and you bring in the point, or the game, throw in the games, then I think you can effectively, you can affect some kind of change. What it turns out to be, I think will be hollow, but hopefully not. We'll see going forward.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I think Miami might be the perfect scenario before you can get minority ownership group in there.
Absolutely. The culture down in Miami is unbelievable. And if you think about the area and how many people would be interested in taking over that team and being in that area, I mean, come on, man. That's like a vacation destination, baby. Like, who doesn't want to go down there? Even if it's got a little bit of everything. You get outside of Miami, it's real nice. If you want to be with the freaks, man, South Beach at 3 a.m. What could be better? So, like, it's just, to me, it is. Yes, that team. How much did Sterling get for the Clippers? Shut the front door for the Dolphins, because you don't have a boat big enough to bring in the money you need for that. That's going to draw.
Okay. You're looking at the Dolphins on there, probably are worth around $3 billion.
Yeah. Billion with a B. With a B.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Stadium, which is paid for. I mean, Ross did just spend $400 million on renovating stadium.
$400 million on renovations? That's insane, Moose.
They got all them fancy, like,
sure.
That kind of like somewhat includes help people get baked. Yeah, on in, I don't know, an early September game when it's like 95 degrees outside.
Oh, you mean they don't have like this crazy window when you look down in the end zone that you're blinded? Nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's not like a magnifying glass like burning ants through the stadium. No. Sorry, I don't mean to.
But they had the damn windows and the damn birds kept flying in and killing.
Yeah. Oh, geez, stadium woes. All right. Yeah, I just think like that that'd be awesome. So we'll see. The news has been fast and furious, and the head coaching carousel's been all over the place, and it's going to be something else. Obviously, Josh McDaniels made it to Vegas. What do you think about that fit? And who do you think got the best candidate? We'll kind of get away from the Flores thing. We know they got messed up. If you guys want to get into it, we can continue with it, of course. But who do you think got who do you think that did the best job in the coaching carousel so far?
So far, I mean, as much as I do like Brian Daboll down here from the Bills and that, because he did definitely look what he did with that offense. I think the Jets getting
right.
I think it's with that. I mean, on there, but with McDaniels going to, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think he'd get another shot after he stiffed the Colts.
Stiffed the Colts,
and then it was a disaster in Denver, really, to be honest. Now he says he's grown, he's learned a lot from his mistakes and and that's maybe why I think he got cold feet and with Indy and didn't think that he could do it and wasn't quite ready, and he oopsied himself into that interview to begin with. So if I get the gist of like the vibe I get from him in his interviews and just talking about the new job now, like it feels like he's but you can say all of those things, Moose, but have you truly learned? Like it's one thing to kind of like be part of the team and lead, right? When I worked my day job and I was just really good at what I did, the guys looked at me to help, and then the leaders and the ownership and the management looked at me to kind of help bridge the gap and help cats out. That was all great. Now, when I'm part of management and I've got to watch everything and I've got to dictate what's going on and I've got all these, it changes dynamics completely. And so when I went from just being one of the guys to, now conducting the orchestra of 30 guys, it's a different job altogether even though I'm in the same setting. And so that is a struggle, like to get your muscle memory to go to the right place. Not only do you have to learn from your mistakes and improve what you did, then you have to have that muscle memory where you stay in that place and you get better and you keep doing that thing and not go back to, old habits. And that is that's a lot going on for Josh McDaniels. Did he learn? Hopefully, because I want to see there's been really good parity in the league, and let's keep it up.
Yeah, and again, I'm kind of, surprised. He must have wowed them in his interview there, because I thought they were going to just hire their interim under, which I did, because
why wouldn't they? Why didn't he get that job?
Because of the Raiders. Mark Davis is basically a bonehead who inherited his money.
Yeah, and I feel like this is another bonehead move going with McDaniels.
The one thing is he's got at least a veteran quarterback who's actually pretty good in that, and I do think they're pretty decent. Yeah, they were playing.
Sure. Well, now, does McDaniels stay with him? Is he a McDaniels type of quarterback? He says all the right things now in the interviews. Of course, we love this guy. He's great. He's got a lot of good years left in him, blah, blah, blah. But is he really a McDaniels guy, or do they start moving on, within the first couple of years here?
They may move on after this year, man, on and see what happens. But for right now, I don't know. So I would just sit with
Well, I'm with you. There's nobody in the draft, and they should absolutely stand pat. But I'm just kind of curious, and I think that'll be the sign, right, Moose? If he stays with them and he's patient and works the draft from other angles until he finds his quarterback and does it the right way, and can have a happy locker room and all like that. That'll be the test on whether he learned, I guess.
Yeah, and I think again, we'll see on our free agent wise, because it was his quarterback, so they're going to go after is doing all the receivers. Go with something with Waller and Run. And
Right.
they give Devontae Adams to use the defense with it. Brady should have to get pretty good. I mean, what it really is I mean, they get Devontae West is going to be a killer of division.
Yeah. Devontae Adams on the Raiders would definitely kind of change the scope, and that division would be pretty rough. Be pretty rough. All right, Moose. We had a little bit of connection issue with you there. We've had a little bit here and there, guys. Thank you for being patient. Appreciate you. As we try to change format here, it is Snowpocalypse or Snowmageddon, whatever you want to call it here. And so instead of risking it, Moose is where he's. Yeah. Moose is at his palatial estate, and I'm here live in the studio, and we're kind of making this thing happen remotely and mobile. And at this time, signals aren't always great all the time, and stuff happens. If you heard the cat yelp, it's because she was like running for the board. What are you doing? Our mascot is trying to be a nudge here as we get rolling here. But we'll discuss a little bit more of the carousel as it continues, Moose. I think it's going to pan out. There's obviously still some more openings. I think we just got a new one. Didn't somebody just get shit canned? Did you get to say before we go on break, do you get to say someone got fired? Did we not lose somebody else today?
Today, I know they're
okay.
They got a couple hirings and that, and I haven't heard anybody getting fired anymore. Anybody else?
Okay, I'm just making sure. I don't want people to lose their jobs. I'm just saying.
I mean, Tom Brady retiring. We'll get into that.
Yep.
Brock's probably his boy's retiring.
Why not retire? Yeah. Why not retire? Why if your cash cow is gone, why bother? So
I'm gonna go party boy and go back on Fox.
Yeah. Yeah, he can be on WWE again if he wants to. All right. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break here. Hopefully we'll get our connection issues squared away, although that wasn't too bad right there. We'll see how we hold up. We got another hour. I appreciate everybody getting in with us here. We'll get into hour 2 of DSR2, the slightly adjusted format. We'll get Moose back in the studio next week as things get back to normal. So, we'll take a quick break. On the other side, like Moose said, we'll talk a little bit of the Tom Brady stuff. We'll recap what was another absolutely. This is all we would be talking about. I wanted to come on here and do 2 hours of how great these NFL playoffs have been, and they've just crapped all over it. So let's come back and actually talk about the games on the field. They've been absolutely amazing. What was that? I don't hear anybody saying a damn thing about the coin flip neither. We'll talk about the coin flips. We'll talk about all that fun stuff we got on this weekend. On the second hour of DSR2 for the Moose, I am Scrappy. We will be back in a few. Stay tight. Don't you go nowhere. We got hour 2 of DSR2. You're listening to Studio 57 Radio.
You're listening to Studio 57 Radio, your home for underground hip-hop, rap, and R&B. Studio 57 Radio.
Party people, this is the original Doc Ice, and you are definitely listening to Studio 57 Radio. And if Studio 57 Radio isn't on, then your radio ain't really on. Check that.
You're listening to Studio 57 Radio, your home for underground hip-hop, rap, and R&B. Studio 57 Radio.
Hey everybody, Scrappy here to tell you about That Radio Show. Hang with me as I break down the world of entertainment with great guests, celebrity interviews, awesome games with wonderful prizes. Also, we've got the biggest library of underground hip-hop of any station on the net. You mix in a little stand-up comedy and a text line so your voice can be heard, and you got a pretty good little show. But add listener-controlled programming, Yeah, you heard me. The listener-controlled programming, where you, the listener, can decide what makes it on the air. And now you've got the greatest show ever created. So join my show, your show, our show, the people's show, That Radio Show, each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, only here on Studio 57 Radio.
Hey everybody, this is your boy Big D, here to tell you about Mark for Life Tattoos. Guys, this place is the cleanest, most laid-back studio in Metro Detroit, and the artists are top-notch. And if you're like me from the D, you need to stop in on Fridays for that D-Day and get your old English D for only $20. Not interested in tattoos? Mark for Life does body piercings. Mark for Life is located at 22533 Van Dyke in Warren, and the guys are there 7 days a week from noon to 9. So give them a call at 757-2222. That's 586-757-2222. Tell them Studio 57 sent you and get 20% off. So what are you waiting for? Call them now.
Hey everybody, Smokey here to tell you about Allstate Tire. With winter fast approaching, the most important thing between you and the road is your tires. So don't put your safety in just anybody's hands. Go to Allstate Tire. With new and quality used tires available, you can trust Allstate Tire for all your tire needs. You can visit them at 14208 9 Mile Road in Warren, or give them a call at 586-779-8759. Allstate Tire, your source for quality new and used tires.
What's happening, everybody? Scrappy here to tell you about Love and Life Club. Love and Life Club is a social networking club that's located at 19960 James Cousins. That's the Lodge Service Drive between 7 and 8 Mile Road in the D. You need to stop in for $5 Fridays for great music, food, and drinks. I personally recommend the chicken. Love and Life Club is also available for rental for bachelor parties, wedding receptions, or any party for that matter. For more information, log on to www.loveandlifeclub.com. That's loveandlifeclub.com, or call D at 313-999-2824. That's 313-999-2824. That's Love and Life Club. If you're loving life, you need to be in the club.
We are taking over. Broadcast for the ultimate underground.
Studio 57 Radio Original. You know, when you hear that sound, you're gonna have a good time, because that's the sound of the ultimate underground live concert webcast from the Detroit area. We go to the most famous, or should I say, infamous venues in the D, and bring the underground music scene from the streets to your computer like nobody else can. There's only one catch. You never know when and where the ultimate underground is going to take over a broadcast. So you need to stay tuned to Studio 57 Radio all day, every day, for clues on when and where the next ultimate underground may happen. Now, there's no other station on the net that's going to give you this live webcast of some of the hottest artists in the D. That's the ultimate underground live on your home for hip-hop, rock and metal, Studio 57 Radio, baby.
Goodbye.
You get what you want, cause we got what you need. Studio 57, serving streets of the D. Recording, mixing, mastering, or great beats. We do what we do to keep you hot on the streets. You get what you want, cause we got what you need. Studio 57, serving streets of the D. Recording, mixing, mastering, or great beats. We do what we do to keep you hot on the streets. Studio 57 is a 32-track digital recording studio that utilizes Cool Edit, Logic Pro, Shure, AKG, Sennheiser, Yamaha, Korg, Mackie, Boss, Ibanez, Fender, Fruity Loops, and many, many more to make your music pop. Experienced and friendly engineers make Studio 57 feel like you're home away from home. With beat creation, mixing, mastering, digital media conversion, and DJs for any event, Studio 57 Records is your one-stop shop for all your music entertainment needs. We have online bill pay and flexible payment schedules. That makes Studio 57 the place to be. For more information, visit studio57records.com. That's www.studio57records.com or call us at 586-420-3390. That's 586-420-3390 or log on to studio57records.com. And just remember one thing, baby.
We get what you want because we got what you need. Studio 57 serving streets of the D. Recording, mixing, mastering on great beats. We do what we do to keep you hot on the streets. You get what you want because we got what you need. Studio 57 serving streets of the D. Recording, mixing, mastering on great beats. We do what we do to keep you hot on the streets.
Party people, this is the original Doc Ice, and you are definitely listening to Studio 57 Radio. And if Studio 57 Radio isn't on, then your radio ain't really on. Check that.
You're listening to Studio 57 Radio, your home for underground hip-hop, rap, and R&B. Studio 57 Radio.
All right, Rebels, we are back at this craziness again. One mo again. We're going to keep on trying our keeping on. Welcome back to DSR2. First hour was obviously heavy. Brian Flores, the NFL, the whole class action lawsuit thing, the Rooney Rule. Like, there was a lot of meat on that bone, and we can go there again, and we will... I know we'll be going through this more as it unfolds. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When we get Moose back in the studio next week, we'll really be able to deep dive because we'll have a lot more information than we got now, and we'll have him back here in studio. But we do have him remotely. We are struggling through what is known as snowpocalypse. So let's get into hour two. So without further ado, let's do hour two of DSR2 on 2222. I am Scrappy. And Moose, do your thing, but remember now, you are remote, so if you talk too fast, sometimes it gets lost, so be good. Oh, okay, here we go.
As they say, get in. I call it with February. Deal with it. What do you get? You get to Michigan, you get to deal with the smell. So they visit with the whole Brian Flores lawsuit and everything going on there in the state, really the NFL with the coaching and ownership and everything with it. Is this could be the thing that's going to, we'll get more to that job, a little bit more. Studio. We don't, AFC and NFC championship. Also, we got NBA and Jimmy Michigan, and you know, say Twitterverse blew up. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm telling you,
Stop stealing.
we call ourselves Detroit Sports Radio Rebels not because all we talk about is Detroit sports. It's because we are different than the guys that talk about Detroit sports. Not only do we actually have a vibe and a feel and an understanding for what's going on here, but we also love the national game and watch everybody else and get in everything else and love interacting with you guys. Appreciate everybody that's been getting in on social media. Thank you kindly. The Brian Flores thing, it is a hot mess, and we'll get more into it as we get rolling. We're going to try to shift gears here a little bit for a little while. It's up to you guys, though. We can kind of move back and forth if we have to, but I think we want to be a little bit more uplifting, have a little bit more fun, and get into it. So let's, Moose, before we get into what's really going to be fun is the playoff games and all that stuff, let's get into what will only be fun for a handful of folks, because this is probably the most polarizing athlete in the NFL, it feels like, especially lately. The retirement of Tom Brady.
Yeah. Yeah, Brady, it broke. They couldn't break it. They weren't sure he wasn't. And they realized that, yeah, Tom Brady, the GOAT, is from the NFL.
Yeah, I'm surprised. We talked about it here. I thought he had another year. He wanted to hit that 45 mark. I thought that was kind of his last thing. But really, if you don't think that team's going to be any better, why would you go out there and beat yourself to death? If your family wants you to retire and you got the means to do so, like, why wouldn't you? I get all those. But I really thought we got one more year out. I just didn't feel – tell me if I'm wrong. You don't feel that he's still got game left, right?
Yes, I think he has one more year. But Brady, again, on it, it's always better to leave a year too early than stick around for a year.
Well, I get it, but you are essential. You are. It's not like they got blown out. It's not like he played horrible. It's not like he didn't just win a Super Bowl last year. Like,
no, he didn't.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, he did win the Super Bowl last year. He led the league in yards passing and touchdowns.
I mean, he's arguably the MVP, right?
They haven't announced that, but he is the top 3 candidate.
Yeah, arguably he could be MVP. So that's my point. So arguably you're MVP. You just won a Super Bowl last year. You were really on the precipice of getting to another one. And it took a pretty spectacular play from, the opposing quarterback to kind of make that go away for you. I just feel like, hey, maybe if I'm gonna, I can't like leave and come back a couple of years later. I'm too old for that. So if I'm gonna play another game, I need to do it like now. So I just thought we get one more year out of him, and then that would be enough. Not that he wouldn't want to play more, but that the family would come into play. I'm pretty sure that we mentioned that. We talked about that. And this is what ultimately I think is a deciding factor now. Like, families like, come on now, let's do it. I mean, Giselle makes more money than him, and she retired a decade ago. So
yeah.
So she's like, hey, I already did what you were asking you to do, so just go ahead and hang it up. I get that part of it. I just thought he would somehow get that one more year in. But he's by far, the greatest quarterback we've seen in our lifetime, I think. I mean, I know you've seen more than I have, but
he is the best quarterback I've ever seen.
Yep.
And again, he's the GOAT. I mean, for example, you could argue all Joe Montana and Terry Prescott. As good as Tom Brady.
Right.
Montana would not put up numbers that Brady's put up at his time. I mean, getting people. Montana never lost a Super Bowl. Yeah, Montana went to 4 Super Bowls. Brady's been to 10.
Brady's been to 10 Super Bowls with 291 different teammates. Let that sink in. 291 different teammates he took to the Super Bowl. Think about that. There is almost 300 people that got to a Super Bowl because they were on Tom Brady's team at one point. That is a lot of MFers. That's what is that, like 5 solid teams and a practice squad?
Yeah.
I mean,
6 teams on there with it. I mean,
yeah, it's insane.
Actually, 6 NFL teams, complete teams, and he's taken to the Super Bowl.
Right. So to me, it's maddening to think that he's anything other than that. It gets to the point where, you can't have a conversation with folks that can't just be objective. Look, I grew up a Detroit fan. I had Isaiah. I had the Bad Boys. We had our championships. We felt robbed by the Lakers championship that we lost the one year. We felt robbed at the end there when we lost it. Whatever. We have our bitterness, and we do not like Chicago, okay? Let's be real. And our boy went over there. Like, Rodman went over there. And so we just don't like the Bulls when it comes to that era of basketball. But you are not going to find a Detroit fan that won't admit that Michael Jordan is the MF and GOAT. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Just stop. So, like, you know, get out of your feelings and let's be real here. Brady has done what, like, nobody else can do. He's the most decorated quarterback. He's really the most decorated athlete in American professional sports.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, under modern sport,
sure.
Wise,
say most decorated, you know, between MVPs, between records that he holds, between championships that he's won over the course of his career. I don't think that's off the rails to say.
No, and it isn't, because again he's retiring with essentially most Super Bowl wins quarterback, most Super Bowl appearances as a quarterback, most as a player. Period. Right. He's basically for playoff and all but 3 teams and 1 4.
Right.
With it, and you know, most yardage passing, most touchdowns passing, most pass attempts, most wins as a quarterback. So he's as a great professional football player of all times, and it goes without saying. Don't give me this crap. It's the quarterback that the most he lost, and he just most out of because he's there for every play. Out.
Well, and he dictates so much other stuff besides what goes on the field, right, Moose? Like, if you have the right guy in the locker room too, it changes everything. There's a culture, like, everybody forgets what Tom Brady did to make those teams. There's a reason why he was able to win with so many different guys, and it was because he wasn't, you know, a me guy first. He was let's get this team rolling. I'll take a little less money. I'll take deferred money, whatever we got to do to kind of make this thing and keep it running. Like, the reason why there was so much longevity, the reason why the Patriots are so annoying to you and won so goddamn much is because of the things that he did that no other quarterback is willing to do. Not only did he play the way he did and put his body on the line and do whatever, he put his money where his mouth is. I don't know what else to say about that. And then on
22nd year in the league, he did most yards in a decade at age 44.
That's crazy. Oh, I'm going to lose you here in a minute, Moose. I think I got to plug you in. Hold on a second before I lose you. I think I'm getting notifications that your battery's low on my device here that I have you plugged into. If it'll go in, what the heck is going on here? Hold on, Moose. I apologize. This is like really professional of us, isn't it? All right. You still there with me, Moose? Oh, I think I lost you. Are you there? Okay, all right. I gotta figure out what I got going on here, because I feel like I lost you on the Bluetooth gimmick. All right, we have an issue here. Let's see if I can get you reconnected. All right. You there? Okay, I still don't hear you. I lost you. This is a son of a bitch. I thought we was connected. Are you there again? Can you hear me? You can? Shake your head yes or no. You can. Yeah. Oh yeah, hold on. I can't hear you. Let's take care of that situation. Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay, cool. I got you back. Sorry about that.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, done on there is like he's going to go with under. I mean, there's we'll see on there for some of these records under. I don't know if they're going to be ever topped or whatever. I think if people like asking, well, who's going to be the next quarterback to win 7 Super Bowls? I don't think there's ever going to be a quarterback to win 7 Super Bowls.
I don't see it. I'm trying to think a quarterback. I'm trying to think of any other player that will win 7 Super Bowls. I mean, and I'm talking about somebody that moves around, right? Like, how do you even who's going to be the Robert Ory of the NFL? Like, that's not going to happen. You're not going to stumble your way into 5 championships, let alone 7.
Right. The only comparable you would have that for guys that moved around and won 5, 6 Super Bowls was Charles Haley, went from Frisco to Dallas.
Yeah.
With it, and that's just one of. But again, for a quarterback wise, that basically stay for one team for the bulk of that, and then go to a new team, it's not going to happen. You can't with the whole on there. These aren't taking a pay cut. I mean, Aaron Rodgers wouldn't take a pay cut. He wants his $40 million.
Right.
Brady says 18. That's my old lady's worth $500 million.
Right. Yeah, but Brady didn't have that worry, and he was about winning. I mean, you saw what his motivation was and how he handled it. So, I mean, I don't think it. I think it kind of goes without question what he was doing there and how this all worked out, and that's a big part of why I don't think it'll ever happen again. And the other big part would be longevity, Moose. Who plays at that high a level for that long? If you take out if you take out the year he didn't play, you take out take out maybe a year or two where he was bad, or we'll just take this year out maybe where he was only okay. We'll take out a year early. If you only take his prime years, I mean, you're still not going to see that repeated.
No, because again, remember, he played 20 years in the NFL.
Yeah,
20 of them with the Patriots.
Right.
The Patriots did not go to the playoffs twice in that 20-year span.
Right.
They won 15 division titles.
I know. That's insane.
The year is the only year that that they didn't win on their basic. That was
think about how many. Just think about his division titles. Who else is going to win that many division titles?
Nobody. I mean, unless Rodgers stay with Green Bay forever, because the NFC North
is that bad. Yeah, the NFC North is a dumpster fire. But God damn it, you got me on that one there. But no, I don't think he's going to stay there. Anyway, we talked about that, and we'll get into that probably more next week. But as that stuff kind of develops over time. But yeah, that's there's no way anybody gets anywhere near that, let alone gets into those Super Bowl talks. Like, you have to understand all the things that he had to do before he got to 7 Super Bowl victories. He had to get to 10. He had to win, umpteen division championships. In a lot of cases, you needed to be the 1 seed. How many times did he have to do that? Like all these things that he had to do to get to all those stats piled up and all those victories and all those accolades, all that's nobody's going to put in that kind of time and that longevity just because, shit happens. Football happens. Like it's not ballet, Moose. Right? So I just don't see how anybody ever touches any of these records unless they all of a sudden come up with like a 26-game season and make quarterbacks like cyborgs. I mean,
yeah. Well, here's a stat that's never going to be touched. You know what his win-loss record as a quarterback is?
Oh, okay. Give it to me.
243-75.
Dude, that's got to be better than 15 teams in the league. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Just on his own. If you look at that same game span, that's got to be better than 15 teams in the league. Just his victories.
Right. He's at a win percentage of better than 75%.
That's insane. That's maddening if you play in a league with that guy. That's Gretzky. That's Gretzky stuff, right?
Oh God, yes.
And nobody doubts that he's the great one. What the hell's going on with NFL fans? I know we're very fanatical and we can be fickle about things, but what is up with us, denying some of these things?
Yeah, he's at a 69 win percentage. Next one up is Peyton Manning with 186 and 79 and a 702. Then goes to Favre at 186 and 112 for 64. And then, then you got Drew Brees at 172 and 114. So, yeah, it's not even close.
All right. And you're talking about some of the greats in history, and then you look at those are the top ones. It's like, man, I just don't. I know now when you start coming to total yards and maybe even touchdowns and all that stuff, that's going to change. That'll be doable because they're going to have 18-game season at some point, and there will be somebody that's got the arm talent to break that record at some point as far as total yards and touchdowns and things like that. I believe just because now. I think you're gonna. I know Drew Brees was an anomaly, having like whatever 5,000 yard seasons or whatever. But I think you're gonna start seeing more of that kind of consistency from other quarterbacks going forward. Mainly because you're gonna have, if we go to 18 games, you're gonna have a couple extra games to work with. So that, but beyond that, I don't see any other record none of them getting touched, and none of the significant ones.
Yeah, because he's got, pretty much all the records. He's got most pass completions record, most pass completions season record, career passing record, touchdowns, passing yards, playoff games, playoff wins, playoff touchdowns, passing yards.
Wow. Yeah, that's all the significant quarterback records, right?
Yeah, and he was selected to 15 Pro Bowls.
Damn. Well, hot damn. Yeah, I don't know what you do with that. Those are real numbers there, baby. Those are GOAT numbers right there. I don't know what to say to you. Them's GOAT numbers.
Yep, and 3 MVPs and 5 Super Bowl MVPs.
Yep. 10 Super Bowls, 7 victories. How many championships? He's got, what, 18, 19?
7 championships.
No, division championships, because he's got 2 in Tampa, right? He's got 1 in...
Well, he won 1 in Tampa. Last year, he's got
18. So, damn. So, yeah, 17. I don't know where you... Like I said, I don't see any of those being touched. Maybe the yards, maybe the touchdowns. As the seasons expand and the future moves on, and we've got a ton of good quarterbacks in this league. But, man, I don't see any others getting touched. Just guys aren't robots, man. Nobody's built like this guy. To have that kind of longevity and do that kind of thing, there's just nobody built like that. So I don't see it. But it's all good. We don't need to see it. I just, I got to witness it. We got to watch it as it happened in real life. And you guys can be mad and be frustrated and hate the guy and whatever. But I'm going to enjoy what I got to see. And I'm kind of bummed. I'd like one more year to pad them stats a little bit. But if the team's not going to be good and he thinks that's going to be an issue, then that's all right. I heard a conspiracy theory that he might sit out a year or two and then pop up somewhere for a year. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. Sorry.
Yeah, because obviously he's on there. But of all the actives, the closest one is, let's see, Matt Ryan with 59,000. So he's still 25,000 yards behind Brady.
Yeah.
Basically, a couple years left at best. Aaron Rodgers, I don't see him doing. He's almost 30 yards behind Brady, and then Stafford 34 behind Brady.
Yeah, nobody that we know. If whoever breaks that record's probably in grade school right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless Burrows comes and just lights it up and then has a long career. But he's not going to have a long career in Cincinnati if they don't do something about the offensive line.
young. He was an older kid drafted.
Absolutely. You lost a few years just getting into the league, right? Because, all these other guys come in at 20, 21, 22. He was, 24, 25?
And Mahomes now is 26, and I don't know who's – I don't think any of these guys stay playing long. It comes near that record.
I don't either. Like I said, I think it's somebody that's like in grade school or something now that down the road when we expand the seasons and and you have because we talked about it, I still believe that they'll get to an 18 week season, 18 game season, but I think as it goes then down the road. But yeah, there's nobody looking right here in the recent future that I think gets anywhere near any of these accolades. It's tough, man. Like the guy played at an insane level for so long. I just wish people would appreciate what they got to see. I get it if you're in the division and your team got killed. I get it if you're Buffalo or whatever, and you're just sick of seeing them and sick of getting bumped by them. But beyond those fan bases, you should be enjoying what you're watching here. And
yeah,
I did. I enjoyed it. I wish we would have got one more year. But hey, good. I'm glad he got to choose what he wanted to do, when he wanted to do it, and how he wanted to do it, even if it was a family decision, quote unquote. It's all good, baby. It's all good. Do your thing, Brady. I'm glad I didn't hit you with my truck. It was nice seeing you. I could have killed him in college and just put this whole run to never happen. But we like the history we have now. We'll run with it. All right, Moose.
Yes.
All right, Moose. We got 30 to go. Let's get into these games, Moose. God damn it! I talked about how awesome last week was, or the past week was, because it is. It's my favorite weekend, and they you know what? They didn't disappoint this weekend. We got everything and all that. We got last minute finishes. We got overtime. We got really good games in a really short squad. Now, I didn't get my Scrappy Damas. I wanted it really bad, and it took a hell of a comeback by Cincinnati. And, man, that's where I want to start, Moose. We got comebacks. We got coin tosses. We got all that. We'll get into the Stafford narrative in a minute. But that game right there was...
That was a game. First half, again.
Yeah, two halves. Yeah, you're right.
That first half was it couldn't be stopped. And, again, Andy Reid, at the end of the first half,
that play.
You're at and you've got 6 seconds left. Kick the ball, get the ball second half.
Yeah.
You go up by 3. They kick that field goal, they win the game.
Yes, if they kick that field goal, they win the game. That is, I agree wholeheartedly. That's on Andy Reid and the play call there. Mahomes didn't execute it great, but that's a bad play call. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you calling this play? Why are you not kicking that? I get why you want to be aggressive, but if you can't get a quick pass, whoop, with a shot at the end zone right there, then in that 5 seconds and get it down to 1 second for a it's either a touchdown or it's incomplete, and you get that 1 second to kick. He didn't set yourself up at all. Even for that, so it was a bad call. That's on Andy Reid there. He's gonna have to own that one. But I'm gonna tell you something. Mahomes didn't help the situation. Okay.
Oh no!
God, what?
He played ass I've ever seen him play.
Dude,
he was down.
Dude, he was like a loose rat in a barn full of cats. Man, he didn't know what to do. He was running all over the place.
Well, again, I was happy he made some great adjustments, and didn't have an answer for him.
No.
Look at today. Joe Burrow is the coolest.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't get
without a doubt. No, he doesn't.
Calmness on him. He came out there. You ever heard that? Without worry about it, man. Puts it on there, and it was just this calmness. He doesn't get flustered. There's just this. And then you got a rookie who's We got it.
Yep.
Everybody.
And
again,
yeah, well, and they did it last week. They did it. They did it the week before. They did it this past weekend. It's infectious. That energy he's bringing, I think, is absolutely permeating the locker room. That confidence that he has, without going to the arrogance level where he's rubbing people the wrong way. And he's the key to it all is he's executing. And then the dude, after 9 sacks, a couple of weeks ago, after last week getting hurried, like 18 effing times, he still gives credit to his offensive line and the rest of his team. And so not only is he, permeating like the locker room, he's saying the right things in the media, he's back in the right, and then he's performing at a high level. And even when things aren't in his favor, stacked against him, he doesn't care, whatever. Stack it up as high as you want. I'm going to run right through it, over it, around it, whatever I got to do. And that's what's been most impressive. Like you said, he's been unfappable. They've not been able to rattle him. He doesn't get up or down. His confidence level's great. I really enjoy watching him play, to be quite honest. And you can tell the rest of the team's picking it up. And like you said, the kicker's even got that swag. So, like, imagine what the rest of that locker room looks like when you got both ends of the spectrum, Moose. You got the kicker, which is Mr. Insignificant, right? And then you've got Mr. Quarterback, all-star, all-pro quarterback, who's the top of the food chain there. And they are sandwiching that locker room with swag and confidence.
Oh.
And it really, to me, it feels like it shows even when you don't have the talent. They are overachieving. Are they not, Moose?
Yes, they are on it. Looking at, especially with that receiving core, they may be the best trio.
Well, and that was a big move for them. And I want to get into the Odell Beckham Jr. thing. Let's be real about it. We're talking about the receiving squad and who is going to be the biggest question mark. Is this dude a head case? Yada, 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 blase, splee. And Moose, for all intensive purposes, Odell Beckham he's been a model citizen. He's said the right things. He's done the right things. He's been able to perform in a supportive role and not be a diva about it and get things done. And, it's almost like he grew up before our very eyes after being in that Cleveland football purgatory. Or am I just tripping?
No, again, I think a little bit. I did not say. I think you're on point for part of it on it. Again, he came from 2 organizations. Giants never won anything when he was there.
Right.
Cleveland won last year, quite as him. And again, you go to an organization like the Rams, where these guys have been to a Super Bowl. You have a quarterback that's a long-term veteran with Stafford, and his personal accolades he's done and everything with it. It was a super plus when he does that. Like, listen, I'm here with a bunch, and these guys are all professionals. You've got Stafford, you've got Aaron Donald, you got Von Miller coming in here, and Von Miller was one of his boys. I think, again, that's something different.
Yeah.
And again, Robert Williams and him have a bigger role in the offense. And he knew he wasn't going to be the offense.
Right.
With it. Right? The playoffs was he played out. He played some of his best.
He has played some of his best football in the playoffs, and you're right. The synergy that he's kind of fallen into, that the team's got, there's a good synergy there. He's kind of fallen in line, having previous relationships, and I think that's really a big thing. Like, we talk about it just in daily life, Moose. You don't quit a job, right? You quit a boss. You quit your coworkers. You quit all the bullshit around the job, not the actual job. He loves football. It's not about the job. It's about who he's around. And if he's around cats that he's confident and comfortable with and are teaching him and showing him the right ways by example, then maybe, as he's gotten older, maybe you can rub off on this dude. I think a part of it is, though, what he's been through already. Like you said, they didn't do much with him in the Giants, and he was supposed to be the savior there in Cleveland, but there was so much going on that, You know, I know he was a drama queen, and they won even without him and in spite of him and all that other stuff. But like, it's about synergy. It's not one person. Like, right, Moose, synergy isn't about one individual. It's about everybody together. And so he's got that here. It feels like, and yeah, so they've got one hell of a system there as far as having that going on. So we'll see how it plans out at going forward, but because everybody's happy when you're winning.
Yes.
But we'll see how it goes going forward. But it does feel different when it comes to the OBJ. So I didn't mean to kind of excuse me, get all over the place, but I did want to get on the OBJ thing as we were talking receivers. So I'm sorry, ADD radio, as we're kind of all over the place, but with the two games. But when you talk about comebacks, you get it both ways. We talk about Stafford and his comebacks, and we'll get into more on that team, and we'll get back to that game in a second. But to see Burrows put together that comeback and see Kansas City fall apart like that was something I just never expected. And before we leave that to bed, I didn't hear anybody bitching about the coin flip this time.
Yeah. Nobody bitched about the coin flip. Nobody bitched about, we got 10 wolves. I mean, they lost. But
right. Yep.
Why? Because you have a big defense.
Right. Bam. And it's simple. And it was a defensive play that really made that game winnable, right, Moose? Because they got the interception set up for the field goal, game over.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah. They got
so defense won it. So, like, I don't want to hear it from the other week ago or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they hand the ball up to Joe Mixon, and he's like, it's not, he's up, but he's like, you know what? It's overtime. It's the AFC Championship. I got you.
Right.
Hand me the ball the first time. I mean, those are some hard guys.
Yeah.
And it was a chip field goal. It was like a 50-yarder. It was a 30-yarder to win it.
Right. Yeah. No, I know. Absolutely. That's why it was a nice, easy shot. Yeah.
Overtime. You can't do that.
Nope. Damn sure can't. But we've seen that. Well, every quarterback that does that goes home early. Garoppolo did that stupid stuff, right? Try to underhand stuff and do goofy stuff. And when under distress, you go home early, you do dumb shit like that. And that's what happened to Mahomes in that situation, in my opinion. All right, let's get out of the Stafford thing as we're getting close to the end of the show here, Moosey Moose. I'm done with the Stafford haters. Okay?
Right.
They've got a good team over there. He's a good quarterback, and to me, it's theirs for the taking. But that being said, it's going to fall on Stafford. Like, he can't throw a pick six at the wrong time. He can't have a bad day because we've already seen that Cincinnati is going to play from whistle to effing whistle. So what is your, based on what you saw last week here, I'm super stoked that Stafford got to is going to a Super Bowl. I think it kind of vindicates what we've been saying about him as a player, regardless of what kind of spin anybody wants to put on it, because the proof is in the pudding. Let's just be real about it. And now he's going to the big game, his first year out. Pretty much like I predict. Well, it is exactly how I predicted. That is the one half. That's the one half of the Scrappy Damas I had from preseason picks and our joke there. But
I think answer the critics on there, because again, for these clowns saying, "Oh, he doesn't win the big game." Well, he's won the playoff game. How many more games do you have to win for you guys to be satisfied?
Right.
He's good in all three games.
Yeah.
I mean, they were down on it. They led basically the comeback out there to take the lead in that game with it. And again, 37 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Again, with these passes, almost rate, it's a damn good game.
Right.
I mean, they were on his ass a lot. defense was putting a lot of pressure on it, and he got the ball. Cooper Cup had great games with it, and again, when it came down to it, he won him the game.
Yeah.
He made passes that Garoppolo didn't do,
Yep.
and even Mahomes didn't.
No.
So don't give me anybody can. No, he throws some ropes under. Yeah, he's a little banged up. He's probably a little injured, so he can't throw that 60-yard complete. But them 20 we're just like boom.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think his deep ball, his Hail Mary is in trouble. They just can't be in a Hail Mary situation because it looks like he may be nursing something. He's always been like that. He'll nurse an injury and play through it. No one will really know about it until after the fact. He's one of the toughest dudes I think I've ever seen play the position, with the exception of like Fouts and some of these old school guys. When you start talking about the modern era toughness kind of quarterback, gritty guy that still has a high level of talent, he's got to be one of the toughest guys playing right now. And and so I like all of those aspects about him. I think that's going to be the key going forward. And kind of solidifying, what they've done there in LA. And let's be real about it. The Rams kind of have to get it done now, right?
Yeah. I mean, they've got this year, next year, that's their window.
So
They have a draft pick till 2024.
Yikes. So that's going to be a big thing. When you don't have, we talk about it all the time with the draft, you have to have draft capital to continue to build forward. You have to have contracts, rookie contracts, favorable contracts in the right positions, and work all around that. And it's kind of different for everybody. You find different analytics to figure out how you're going to do that. But that's essentially how you got to run your team, and that's going to come crashing down on them here in a couple of years. And so, like you said, Moose, the window is basically now and next year. So they're on the precipice of it. I can't wait for the game. The game is going to be so off the charts, Moose. Next week we get to talk about it, right? Because we got some time off before the game starts. So next week we'll really get into it. But I am that damn meme that's made it through social media. I'm firmly planted directly in the middle of my 40s, and this is going to be the single greatest Super Bowl I've ever seen because Stafford's in the Super Bowl, right? Like, so we can have a little Detroit tie if we want to have it, and be and have at least somebody to root for just for the hell of it, right? If not, you got Burrows in there, and that's a great story, and Cincinnati not being there. So no matter what side you want to pick.
Too. And for basically, I'm going to get out there because I got to get a little dig in on your problem. These people just loving Aaron Rodgers. Remember, Stafford has been he's going to be as many Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers has.
Well, that's going to be awesome because if he wins it, if they do win it,
it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yes,
and he's not.
All right, it's going to be amazing. Yeah, you know what? And he'll have done it in a way better division.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes, a lot better division where 3 teams went to the playoffs.
All right. So let's kind of be real. You got to put things in perspective. So, all funny stuff. Good stuff. So, all right. Next week we're gonna break down the prop bets and all that stuff. So I don't want to get into too much crazy stuff. I don't want to get into our prediction on who's gonna win and what's going on moving forward. But what are you looking forward to going to? Like I said, I'm like a little kid in a candy store. You got the ultimate storylines in either team. You've got what is going to be probably like the most all-star jammed halftime show that I've seen from my time, my age bracket. This is going to be off the hook. Will it be as good as Prince's? Probably not. But it'll be fun for me because there's going to be a ton of fun talent there and talent I never thought I would see on this particular platform. So there's a lot of stuff going around. Of course, people love the commercials. All the casual fans love the commercials. We love the prop bets and all the goofy stuff. What is your favorite? What are you looking forward to the most coming into the game, Moose? Is it the game itself? Is it the quarterback play? Is it going to be like a defensive thing? Are you looking for the craziness that we always seem to have in these games? Are you just you want the skeptical? Do you want the entertainment, the halftime? What are you looking forward to the most?
I think it's going to be the game on there that I'm looking forward to the most on there. I think some of these matchups are going to be outstanding. I can't wait to see them. I want to see the Brady versus Devontae Smith. I really do.
Yeah.
Tim Burley, Aaron Donald, and Von Miller.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kicker.
Yeah.
And again, is Stafford going to rise to the occasion, or is he going to wilt under the pressure?
Yeah, and that's going to be the key, is like the minimizing mistakes. We talk about all the time. You know, you got to be able to get a handful of big plays, and there's not that many of them, but you got to execute on those. And then, there's just a limited window for mistakes. You just can't make them. So we'll see. I think whoever makes a big mistake, I'm with you, Moose. We talk about it all the time. A lot of years how the game isn't even the focal point of the Sunday, right, of the day. It's like, it's not even what I'm looking forward to the most. But in this case, this game, when you've got some just, studs out here at the quarterback position, at the wide receiver position, at the running back position, at these these edge rushers, and it's nice. Like, this is gonna be this better be one hell of a game. Like, y'all need to live up to what you've done the last 2 rounds with all these teams. Like, right, Moose. Like, I'm telling you, if this game turns out a duck, it turns out lame, I'm gonna lobby to change the rules so they don't get the extra week.
Right, and then with the 2 people been let them, and it's only been one time. I think times on there. And I think the first thing they did, it was in a great game. I think that was Buffalo and the Giants, which was the wide left game with Scott Norwood.
Oh, sure, wide left game, yeah.
Don't discount the advantage that the Rams are going to have because they're playing at home.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know technically they're going to have Cincinnati be the home team, and that's how they're going to be dressed and all that stuff, but let's be real. Look where it's at. 2 years in a row, home teams in the Super Bowl. How's that happen?
Again, I don't think it'll happen either. But yeah,
what are you talking about? We're stuck in the Matrix, and it's Groundhog's Day. No, how does that happen?
Yeah, as halftime shows goes, this is probably the second. I mean, this is one of the probably the most anticipated halftime show I've ever waited for.
Yeah. This is my most anticipated. I think what I've seen so far, Prince was the one I liked the most. I thought it was the best. It's going to be super, super hard to beat. But this is going in before we see it. This one for me is absolutely the most anticipated halftime show, too, for me. So, like, I'm going to be this is rare for me. Of course, Prince, I watched and sat through the whole thing, but I'm probably going to I'm not going anywhere at halftime, really. I think I'm going to watch the whole aspect of it because I'm a nerd, and I used to be an entertainer. I did the music thing, and I'm going to be watching all the goofy different aspects of the production and what they put together and how it sounds and what they did and how I'm going to be breaking it all down in my head as I'm watching it. It's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to see it. It's crazy. I could probably do play-by-play on the halftime show if you guys don't actually want to listen. That would be amazing. That would be fun. Maybe I'll stream that live. I don't know. That'd be hilarious. But I think, I'm going to be into it as much as anything else. So to me, this has the potential to be the greatest Super Bowl that I have gotten to see in my adult life.
Yeah.
Because from an entire skeptical standpoint, spectacle. What did I just say? From a spectacle standpoint, I just think this is going to tick all the boxes for me. I mean, you couldn't add 2 new teams in the Super Bowl, 2 great quarterbacks, all, one in their prime, one's young, but you got all these other great players. So all the on the field action is there. You got the great halftime show, the entertainment, the potential that's going to be all wrapped around that. If the commercials are even half as good as they tend to be sometimes, then although they've been kind of lame lately, but I mean, like, there's just a lot of things. I may just start growing roots in my couch because I sit there for the entire 6 hours that is the Super Bowl because I just can't take my eyes off it. It really has that kind of potential, and I'm super stoked.
Yes, I mean, this is that thing on when you look at it on there, and this could be like, I'm hoping it's like the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Where you have at the beginning of the year, and with Warner, and one of the best Super Bowls ever. I'm like, holy crap! I mean, you watch, and basically on there, hoping it's part of that. Two Super Bowls. I mean, kind of meh.
Oh yeah, and I don't, in the end, it doesn't. Who wins or loses isn't a big deal to me because like probably one of my favorite Super Bowls ever is the Tennessee Rams game, St. Louis game, where they come up short. And,
yes, 1 yard.
And I was a huge Tennessee fan at the time. I was really kind of just vibing on that team that year and was really on the bandwagon a little early. And so it was nice to see him there. And, of course, the Rams had lots of success, so you want to see these guys get bumped off at that time. And so that was a great game, though, even though my team that I was digging at the moment was come up short. That's how this Super Bowl is to me. Like it doesn't really matter in the end who wins because if we get a game that's even close to that, which I think has the potential to be that or better, I'm going to be all about it. If it's even, if the playoffs that we've seen so far are a prelude to what we're going to get, whoop-de-woo, I'm a happy camper. I mean, because this could be one of the best playoff runs / Super Bowls that the NFL has given us in how long? Think about it, Moose. Not the wild card round, but from there past that these games, every single one of these games has been absolutely amazing.
Right. You look at the divisional round and the championships rounds. You get 6 teams that come down to the last or overtime.
If you did a movie, Moose, and like where it followed a team and they were just involved in the playoff system and all this is going on around it, and you'd be like, this is so far fetched. This doesn't happen in real sports, and it happens. It happened.
That shows you there's nothing better than sports when it matters and it basically executed to that point.
Well, and to me, Moose, it feels so good because it's been really a long time coming for sports, especially if you're a huge football fan, because really we haven't got like what I think the full potential of the NFL or any other sport for that matter in a couple of years because of the COVID situation. So you're always having issues with whether cats can, play or perform or interact or practice or, sicknesses and shutdowns and lockdowns and openings and mandates and, vaccinations. And, there's all these different things that have really changed the scope of sports for every day for years now. It's 2 years now. And this is like, this feels okay. I'm watching some of the best, highest level football that I've really seen in a long time. There's fans back in the stadium. I haven't been this excited about these games and this entertained by these games in a really, really long time. This is good, man. This really feels like we're getting back to something. I don't know. It just makes you feel good. It gives you back to before all this other nonsense, and you can kind of just enjoy what was on the field. Is what I thought our show was going to be about till the obvious elephant in the room with Flores is rightfully so, in my opinion, really, to kind of make a move, and I'm kind of proud of the guy, to be honest. But anyway, there's if all that's true, I'm gonna caveat that, but yeah, it's been amazing, and I just think this Super Bowl's got the potential to have all of that. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Before we get out of here, and I appreciate everybody for hanging with us this week, and we'll get Moose back in the studio next week. We'll get into Super Bowl dishes and all that, because I know you love to have that conversation, and I do too, because I might want to get some recipes from you actually, or some ideas anyway. But what you got? You gonna try to chill at the house? You gonna do the party thing like we did a few years ago? What are you gonna do?
We're gonna play it by safe and just stay home. I mean, Kelly has to go to surgery. Just want to keep any change with the exposure down to the bare minimum.
Sure, that makes sense. So
okay, chill, and I'll have a couple. Watch the game and pick out on some wings.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're gonna have some top-notch food there, and a top-notch cigar, and top-notch beverage, and you're gonna hang out with your top-notch lady, and that's really what it's all about for me. I think just sitting back and enjoying the game for what it is. I like being here with the family. The family isn't really into the game itself, but they'll watch all the spectacle around it, and I'll pretty much be by myself essentially. But I'll text you, man. We'll goof around. Maybe we'll shoot, because stuff's gonna happen. So I'll text you. But yeah, the party. I don't know. Like you said, play it safe and chill and relax. So I can't wait, to be honest. It's going to be great. I get to be loud in my house and act all goofy and scare the dogs, and it'll be fun. So, all right, guys. Once again, I appreciate all y'all for hanging out with us. It was another fun week. We'll get back to this thing. Same bat time, same bat channel next week. We'll have Moose back in the studio, so we'll have a little less choppy. I apologize for some of that, but at least we had Moose here, and we can see his beautiful face, and we got to hear his beautiful voice, and we got to have another great show during the Snowmageddon. So you guys be safe, be good, and get ready. We got prop bets, we got predictions, we got all kinds of fun stuff next week, don't we? So
extravaganza.
Yes, the big Super Bowl extravaganza. I can't wait. So we got that next week. So everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Yes. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Love you guys. Be good to each other. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace out, brothers.
You're listening to Studio 57 Radio, the home for underground hip-hop, rap, and R&B. Studio